welcome back with the greetings of the new holidays. Cheers. As you know, this month is the month of our Christ Savior's birth. And I want to welcome you guys to this place with the word from God. So, in this season, mostly people will talk about the salvation, how Jesus was born and as a gift to us, and how we're saved because of Him, and how this special gift for Christmas and the most precious gift in the whole history of the world is Jesus. But today I want to more focus on something more we overlook mostly when we read the story of Christmas, when we read the birth of Jesus Christ. I want to go to Luke chapter 1 and read you the very beginning before Jesus was even born. The difference between two people. So, Luke chapter 1 verse 11. Then an angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing at the right side of the altar of incense. 12. When Zechariah saw him, he was startled and was gripped with fear. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah. Your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you are to call him John." 14. He will be a joy and delight to you, and many will rejoice because of his birth, for he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He's never to take wine or other fermented drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit. Even before he is born, he will bring back many of the people of the Israel to the Lord their God. And I'm going to skip the part where Zechariah is going to say, verse 18. Zechariah asked the angel, "How can I be sure of this? I am an old man, and my wife is well along years." And there, I'm going to go skip again to Luke chapter 1, verse 26 to 26. In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth in a town in Galilee to a virgin pledged to be married to a man named Joseph, a descendant of David. The virgin's name was Mary. 29. Mary was greatly troubled at his words and wondered what kind of greeting this might be. But the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found favor with God. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you are to call him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High." Verse 34. "How will this be?" Mary asked the angel, "since I am a virgin." So, in these verses that I've read you, I want to compare the life between Zechariah and Mary. As we all know, Mary was a virgin pledged to be married to Joseph. And I made some research about being pledged to marry or betrothed to someone in these time. Usually they get betrothed to marry. They get betrothed to marry at age around 15, 16, 17, around that age. Just kind of still a teenagers, especially in this time when we're in 15, 16, 17, like our age. We are all free. We don't care what's going on around us. The world revolves around us. We know that very clearly. So in the age of this 15 to 17, in the span of this time, Mary was met with an angel from the Lord named Gabriel. And she was told that she's going to have a son that she never knew. Like, she was a virgin. She never slept with anyone. She haven't even been married. And she was told this news. Imagine you're in the shoes of Mary. I know that most of you must have heard about this again and again. Putting in the shoes of Mary. Listening to the angels saying about Jesus. But look at this. Mary was around the year of teenage. But Zechariah, he was already old. He told to the angel by himself, he's already old. He's at the age that he cannot even have a child. And he's a priest that works in the deep temple around the God that all of them worship, around the miracles, around the teachings, that how wonders that God can do. This is the two wondrous lives. Sometimes we kind of forget we may not be the ones that is working near God, or we may not be a member of a church that works greatly. We may not be in doing great things in the world. But you know what God says to Mary? Do you know what the angel says to Mary? He said, "You have found favor in you have found favor in the Lord. You are found favored in the Lord." That's what I want to say. Being in Christmas, in the times of this season, in the times where Jesus is birthed, we often think that our job is to have fun, to give gifts, to listen to things, to listen to carols, to listen to every other things that is happening around us. That is not it. What it is to be found favor in the Lord. To be found favor in the Lord. And other than that, I want to talk about today I'm comparing this two people. So Zechariah, as we all know, he's a priest that works in the temple. And Mary, she's still a teenage. And Zechariah was told about this news from the angel that his son John will be born. But the answer that both of them give is really, really interesting. When Zechariah was told of this birth, what did Zechariah say? How can I be sure of this? But when Mary was asked of this, she said, how will this be? How will this be? How can I be sure of this? Those two questions sounds very, very similar to each other. Very similar to each other, very same to each other. But there is a big difference. How can I be sure of this? And how will this be? Sometimes we have to ask the right questions in things. Right questions. Being found favor in the Lord. Number one is that knowing how to ask the right questions. When God is giving you the job, when God is giving you your mission, when God is giving you your dreams, yes, you may be young. Yes, we may be not smart enough yet. We may not finish whatever we were planned to do. But when God give us the mission, when God give us something to do, what we have to do is asking the right questions. Are you asking the right question now? Because when God says you are to do this, you're not to ask, how will I do this? You're not to ask, how can this be? Are you sure this is supposed to be mine? Are you sure? Are you sure that this is going to happen? Are you sure this is possible? You're not to ask those questions. You're to ask the question, how will this be? How can I do this? How can you do this with me? How will you do this with me? Because you are to question the right questions, to be found favor in the Lord. How am I going to do this mission with you, Lord? How will you help me continue in this mission, Lord? How will you help me continue to this dream, to this path that you have given me? Ask the right questions. Number two is to have faith. Because of Zechariah's lack of faith that his son will be born soon later onwards, he was told that he could not speak until his son is born. And he was like that for the rest of his life until John was born. But thing is, Mary, after she heard this news so suddenly and so just out of nowhere, she just heard that she's gonna give birth. You know what she said? I am the Lord's servant, Mary answered. May your word to me be fulfilled. Faith. Having faith is very easy by saying. I have faith in you. That's very easy to say with words, but how can you actually do it? How can you actually have faith in something that you can't even see? How can you have faith in something that would trouble you? How can you have faith in something that that is going to lead to your own destruction? Sometimes we cannot use our brain to think what's going to happen in the future. Because I used to be that person. I used to be thinking of the future and thinking that it will go as perfectly. I used to think that I am everything I plan for my future will go perfectly in order. But the thing is, I've learned lately that it won't go like that. Because, you know, the future is in God's hands. I used to be the person that I hate when things don't go my way, because I am a person that loves to plan a lot. I love to plan for my things that's going to be in the future, especially even now for the days of the week. What am I going to do? I love planning beforehand, and for every month I love planning beforehand. And if things disturb me or disrupt me while I am doing these things according to the plan, I get real mad. I get real angry at people who are disrupting my plans. But the thing is, then things get disrupted all the time. Things get disrupted all the time. So I get real mad, and I had a real anger issues because of that. So I went back to the Lord, and I told the Lord, like, Lord, you gave me this gift to plan ahead. Like, you gave me this gift to think ahead. But why is always getting disrupting by other people? Why is getting, every time I plan to do this, it's always getting canceled or either disrupted by something? But you know what he said to me? He said, your future is not in my hands. That's the word hit me. I didn't put my future in God's hands. I put my future in my own hands, thinking I can do it, thinking I can do according to plan, because God has other plans for me that I wasn't even thinking about. Because I'm always planning by myself. I'm always doing by myself. I'm always a independent person. I was never dependent on someone for doing this for me. And then that word hit me, because I've been getting anger issue. I've been getting so many things that I don't want in my plans. But it's been again and again, having disrupt and again and again. And I know that it's not good for me. The thing is, I go back to the Lord, ask him about this. I haven't been putting my future plans into his hands. Not trusting myself into his hands made it more worse. That's the thing in here. Zechariah, he wasn't putting his future, he wasn't putting John into God's hands, but he was putting John's into what he can do. He thinks that what he can do is going to be the result of what God says. What we can do is nothing. My friend, there's nothing we can do that is good in this world. What we can do is nothing. Zero. Think about Mary. She faced with this news of pregnancy, and yet she gave her future to the Lord because she's unsure. She's unsure. And even if she's sure of it, she gave it to the Lord. She gave it to the Lord. Do what you will. Because we have no hold. We have no hold over what we are supposed to do in the future. So these two things to do in the season of Christmas. To be found favor in the Lord in this Christmas season. Number one is to ask the right questions. And number two, have faith in those questions. Have faith in the Lord, what he can do for your future, what he can do for what you cannot trust, for what you cannot have faith in. Just give it all to him, because your future, what you do at the end of this year and at the start of next year, it's not in your hands, but in his hands. You have to start trusting that. You have to start trusting what he can do. Even though we're facing a very big pandemic right now, even though we're facing a big issue right now, we're still alive right now because our lives is in his hand. And you have to be more trusting in that. So I want to remind you guys to be finding favor in the Lord with your dreams and your missions that he gave you, to find yourself to be favored in this Christmas season. Thank you everyone for listening, and God bless you.